For Tesla investors, this was a very big weekend. Tesla just dropped full self-driving version 13, and it's a beauty. It's what we've all been waiting for, and so far, it's shocking everyone who's testing it. For the first time, FSD can now take you from any starting point to any ending point autonomously. Elon Musk estimates 500% improvement. The system can start FSD from park with a touch of a button, unpark, reverse, and park at its destination. We've got a lot of videos to show you the best clips and comments from Elon, Ashok, Yunta Sai, and even Andre Karpathy. Today, we have supply chain expert Jeff Lutz with us, and he's saying every boardroom and every executive suite at every auto company has a fiduciary responsibility to decide quickly if they should be spending $1 more on autonomy or just partner with Tesla. And just like that, overnight, many Tesla institutional investors are massively raising price targets. The most interesting of the bunch, Craig Irwin of Roth Capital, a longtime bear, has flipped. Now a bull, he increased his price target from $85 to $385. We'll watch a video of him explaining this reversal. We also have Stephen Gengaro of Stifel raising his price target to $411 from $287. This is now the highest price target on the street. So today we have Jeff Lutz. He's a multi-decade supply chain executive and chief quality officer. He's now CEO of his own supply chain consulting firm. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey, nice to see you, Herbert. Lots going on this weekend. Holy cow.
This is the big one, right? This is the big one. And I think that your prediction about the partnership, that's the big thing, because they're going to see this. They're going to watch this, and you can see everybody already changing their mind. So we've got Ashok Alaswamy dropping this. Version 13.2 has started rolling out to limited external customers. This is on Thanksgiving, which is when they were promising this would happen. This is the big list. They've already explained a lot of this already. What's your thought about this list of the features?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first, release on the new Cortex cluster. There's higher parameter counts. There's this call out I have, maybe we'll talk about a bit later, about the fleet communicating with each other so that other cars, other Teslas, can drive better and avoid incidents, avoid obstacles. This is now, it already, the solution Tesla was doing was already superior. It's just a matter of execution and getting the performance up. But now you have this kind of feature in there where the fleets and it's actually improving the driving conditions for all other drivers around it. This is just the beginning. I think this is just the seed of things that they can do with the fleet communicating. So to me, this is starting to elevate it to almost more superhuman in terms of the capability. Now, obviously, it's got to get the intervention rate down to a level, where that would make sense. But you see the feature set that's being built up and being deployed here. This was stunning. And there's more to come in the ensuing 13.XX releases, where they're going to be bringing more of these features in, and it's really becoming, to the point of you press a button to leave, and you're going now really from point to point. They're really now the big call outs I saw were it's really dealing with that first few feet of your drive starting, and then that last few feet of your drive ending in a much more elegant manner and a much more automated manner. You're not touching anything. The other big takeaway I saw from all the videos, if I kind of piece them all together, and I watched them all, and again, thank you to these early, the early users on FSD get this release, get in their cars, they drive, they record it, they provide their own analysis, and they get the videos up really quickly. Hats off to them. When I stitched everything kind of together, one of the things, and I don't hear it being called out a lot, is that the confidence in the driving maneuvers is increased significantly. How the car turns, how it leaves from a stop. These are things that are really important in terms of the driving experience becoming more human, becoming more like you drove, so it can just replace more and more of your drives. And I tell this all the time. A year ago on V11, I was probably using FSD, 30% of the time. And now it's over 90% of my drives. My first inclination is to put the destination in and just use FSD and let the car drive. So it's literally flipped in a year's time, and that's on 12.563. So in summary, lots of huge features. This is on this is now on Cortex, and the confidence and the driving have really gone to a whole new level, and it's now, completely automated end to end.
All right, let's go and watch one of these first videos here. This is Dirty Tesla Speechless as FSD 13.2 drives my wife and I to GameStop and then backs into a parking spot. Let's take a look at what he's saying here.
All right, I'll just edit our.
What?
Okay.
What?
Oh, what the? What? Okay, I can say I did not expect that.
It picked a great parking spot too. Like, because it's right there.
I'm kind of speechless. And it backed in. It's going to put it in park here.
This is so cool.
Holy crap.
Wow.
All right, I didn't expect that. Okay, well, it took us to our destination and then beautifully backed into a parking spot in one move. That was insane.
What do you think, Jeff?
Well, first off, Dirty Tesla's in Michigan. And sometimes people think of these efforts, they're all being centered in, the Bay Area or California. He's in Michigan. Chuck Cook's in Florida. Omar's in California. We have people all over the country testing this. And this is, to me, this really speaks to, this is a production solution, and it's going to scale. It's going to work everywhere. And the fact that now, these early releases are getting out, and, people from all over the country can try it and have these equivalent, really good experiences, right from the get-go. I've heard this for the last couple of years of like, I think it drives better in California. I never really, the way the system was designed, I never really thought that was kind of a thing. I thought anyway, and what you're seeing now with these, the kind of the early data we're seeing is that it can do these special things everywhere. So this is great. This is just a more automated experience. Before you'd arrive to your desk, you'd navigate to a destination, here in the strip mall, and the car would kind of just leave itself in the middle. And now it's just, it's finishing the job, and now it's parking near the entrance of the destination you gave it. So this is all, to me, part of the robotaxi experience.
Mm-hmm. Here's another video here. This is from AI Driver reversing out of a parking spot. Doesn't seem so exciting, but what this represents is that it means that it can actually, right? It means that it can actually just press a button. I was waiting for that car to come out. Gotcha. I was wondering why it's taking so long. Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we have two eyes in our head, and we have got pretty decent peripheral vision, and we've got mirrors in the car. We have these mechanical things where, to give us, sight behind us or on the side. The car has the 8 cameras. They're on the whole time. So you're going to get experience. How many fender benders, how many things occur in parking lots, like busy parking lots like this? And now you've got it where it can reverse out of spots. It can look for people, and the 8 cameras are on all the time, being fed data and making decisions.
All right, let's listen to all the comments from a number of Tesla executives. So this is Tesla AI says, new brain, who dis? Ashok Goswami, who's the vice president of autonomy, he said, replying to this chain of threads, it's the AI, stupid. Tesla has the best real world AI by far, Elon says. Ashok also says, we're working on parking options, including garages. So this is just the one thing after another. They're going to solve it. It's going to be straightforward. But at this point, you can now press a button. It can get out of any situation we're sitting in, and it can park in any place. And now they're going to include garages. Yunta Sai also works at the team. He says this insane product push on the week of my birthday. We refactored the entire system to drastically simplify the pipeline, direct photons to control, yet providing a lot more functionality under the same unified framework. you can comment on that. The fact that the reason why this took a little bit longer is they refactored the whole system. It's one of the biggest rewrites in years when we began setting foot in the journey of photon count. John asks, is this a bigger leap than V11 to 12? And he said, the first two, we deleted the image processing tuning that has nothing to do with information. The last 2 years simplified the control stack to make it more human-like. Finally, we can clean up what's left. V13 is like Raptor engine V3, Elon said exactly. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on all of this is that Tesla is confirming, that their architectural path that they set out on years ago is working. And really the big change was the move to end that started, at the beginning of this year in terms of releases to customer vehicles, but it was that drive that Elon and Ashok took, I think it was in August of 2023, and that was based off of a decision, I believe, in April of 2023 to kind of scrap the current approach and go just complete, end to end. And really it's all these, everything's kind of coming together, both on the infrastructure side, the ramp of the H100s to bring up these data centers. So I think what's really special about this release, and it'd be interesting to hear from Tesla, is what has been the impact of training on the Cortex supercluster. And I think, again, all these 4 or 5 early drivers, all of them noticed a huge increase in the kind of the performance and the confidence and how natural the drive was. And I found that to be very interesting. The one thing in terms of this whole architecture that I want to just keep an eye on is, remember, the car's running inference based off of, the training, that's done. And, the car has to have a model size inside of the vehicle. And just to be interesting to watch, what's the size of the model inside of the vehicle that the car is able to run inference on, and how big does that model need to be? There's a reason it looks like we're starting now with hardware 4, and we're going to kind of stay on that train for a bit in terms of these releases. I'm just wondering, in terms of for the ability of, hardware 3, what it can do, what it can max out at, and hardware 4 in terms of the model size. That just, to me, an interesting thing to keep an eye on. And of course, Tesla's working on, we call it hardware 4, it should be AI 4, and then they're working on AI 5 as well. So I'm not here to say that one thing is, there's no kind of decision here at this point. I think Tesla still has options in terms of what they can do to run the complete suite on AI 3, AI 4, and eventually AI 5. But at some point, it'll be interesting to see how big does the model actually get, and what does it mean to the hardware in the vehicle. By the way, if you want to just fast forward the tape on this, it's from an economics perspective, it's totally meaningless. And actually, from a supply chain perspective, it's also totally manageable. Tesla has a lot of capacity. If they had to upgrade computers, maybe we can do a different show on this. The way that Tesla's architected this system, it's essentially, a swap out of computers. Now, it can be a little bit more complex and nuanced based on the version of your vehicle, but they've made the self-driving system, the inference inside of the vehicle, they've made the cost structure and the performance, when I say performance, not only in terms of what it can process, but also the power consumption being under 100 watts. They've made this thing so good and so cheap that if they were to run into an issue where they maxed out on okay, now we can't, AI 3 cars can't deal with the release that they're building next. They do, and Elon has said this, they do have the ability to upgrade these vehicles. I just want to tell people, it's not a scary thing. If you look at the prohibitive cost of what people are paying for FSD and the cost to do these upgrades, it's literally noise.
That was a lot to, there's a lot of information you just shared. I'm not saying, I'm saying it's important information you just shared. that I need to give it some more thought. Okay, let's keep moving forward here. Here's Chuck Cook. He's one of the early beta testers. He actually believes that this is ready to go wide. I don't see any safety issues that would keep 13.2 from going wide. It's better than 12.5. Send it. Here's his highlight clip from his first impression drive. Let's watch what he's saying here.
And I'm going to press this button. This press. Okay, let's see how it goes here. Okay, so there's the start. Oh my God, that it is the NHTSA stop is gone. There was a stop sign. Yeah. Here's our second stop sign. No NHTSA stop, guys. It's gone. It rolls straight up. Now that's a stop. It needs to creep a little bit. Is it going to creep? We got a car here. Creep. Oh, don't go yet. There's a car there. You should be able to see that clear as day. Very tiny gap. Don't go. Oh, yes. Gosh, this is feeling really, really comfortable so far. I normally don't do unprotected left-hand turns at night. Oh, nice gap here. Can't quite go from the right. There is no question mark. Is it going to take the left lane? Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, that was really, really, really good. I'm liking that. So I'm going to go ahead and edit the trip here. I'm going to go ahead and take out that point, and we're going to do our U-turn. It'll quickly remap that, and we're going to be on our way. So first things first, NHTSA stop is gone. The start from by long pressing the button is new. So that, hey, that's great. That's a good way to start the drive. It's just something I'm not used to here. Okay, here we go. God, it feels aggressive. Meaning like that was almost a Cybertruck kind of a deceleration curve. We've got a 3-car, and I'm going to call this a small gap. It's going to go for it, though. Please be smooth. Oh, you waited. Thank you. Oh, but that was like the human decision. Look, you got all this space behind, and you decided to wait. And look, here you go. You got all the time in the world now. Oh, my God. That U-turn was like flawless. 13.2 U-turns did not even flinch. Okay. We got 40 minutes of driving to go here. Just so you know, I already had some coffee, so I'm already going to be amped up more than normal. But that U-turn was butter.
That was gorgeous. Say, quick comments on that. We got a lot more to cover still.
Yeah, just quickly, when Chuck's an airline pilot, and when he says that it's from a safety perspective, it's ready to go. I salute and say and I agree. The other thing to notice is the confidence from start. As soon as he long pressed the button, the car just boom left, and then it seems like it's acting more aggressively because I think they've reduced latency and now it's acting more naturally. So when you reduce latency from the system, it's gonna be able to make decisions faster, and it's gonna feel like that as a driver. So great to see.
That's a big one. Okay, here's a series of conversations, and we'll go with your thoughts that FSD should be licensed at this point. It's Omar says, it's hilarious that people thought you couldn't drive with just computer vision. The smoothest self-driving I've ever experienced is pure vision Tesla FSD. Andre Karpathy used to lead Tesla's autopilot. He's no longer with the company, but he commented, prediction, all companies will eventually get there. They will realize they don't want to purchase, maintain, and use a whole thing for no gain. Will Waymo take off LiDAR? My bet is yes. Roughly speaking, someone will run sensor ablation experiments, zero out all inputs to the neural net other than vision, and they'll notice that performance is the same, that it's not necessary to add LiDAR. Tesla Yoda said, as a CEO of any automaker, failing to seriously consider licensing FSD at this point would verge on neglecting your fiduciary duty. Now, you started having a couple of really important comments here. If anything, to also slow their cash burn on their own R&D efforts with macro auto under stress. Boardrooms and C-suites will be in session as early as this week to discuss, and many have been already. Licensing is another branch that makes Tesla valuation nutty. Every auto boardroom, every C-suite executive at every auto company has a fiduciary responsibility to decide quickly if they should be spending $1 more on their own R&D effort or partner with Tesla.
Yeah, I think in context here, I think what people need to keep in mind is there is some stress in the auto industry. We are getting some decent news in terms of units in the last month, but there's a lot of stress. You're seeing CEOs resign. You're seeing inventory build up to record levels in some areas. And you're going to see the incentives really pile on here, I think, in December. as well. So you have to take it all in context. There's a lot of stress in the auto industry. There's been a lot of CapEx that's been put forth for the EV transition. There's been a lot of CapEx that's been spent and burnt already on autonomy. You've got Ford and Argo AI, and they scrapped it. You've got GM with Cruise, and they've significantly reduced the size of that operation and the scope of that operation. And you've got other robotaxi services. You've got a lot of spend that is occurring in this space. And then you've got the stress of the industry itself in terms of what people are willing to pay for and how many cars are being sold. And so when you put all of those things together, that's why in my mind that, I know for a fact that all of these auto companies, they have Teslas, they have test vehicles, and they'll get the V13 release, when it's their time in the queue. It's not like they have early access or anything, but they're certainly watching and consuming these videos, and they're going to wait. They're going to get their own releases. They're going to test it. But the question that's going to come up in the boardroom is, what are we building? What's our trajectory? How much does it cost? And when are we going to be end to end, press a button, and the car is going to go from point A to point B in city streets versus these these commercials we're putting out there that are showing hands-free driving, but it's only on certain stretches of road, and it's nowhere near the capability of what a Tesla does. Like, when are we going to be there? And all of us, what's happening is the Tesla lead is expanding. And I made another point in another post that what we're seeing in the drives that Chuck and Omar and AI Driver and Dirty Tesla are doing is the result of what's actually happening. The actual battle is actually happening in the data center and the AI factory, called as AI factory. And Elon is acquiring this capital for the AI factories, and he's building them. He's assembling these AI factories, and he's commissioning them faster, in order of magnitudes faster than others. That's where the actual battle is being fought. That's why this Cortex cluster was built quickly, and it's already now producing results on V13. That's where the actual battle is happening. Do you hear who else is on this battlefield relating to auto? So the question you have to ask yourself is, at some point it becomes so cost prohibitive, like how much are they going to have to invest to be able to compete in autonomy? And finally, I believe this, and I think Brian Wang has said this on your show, and it was a great call out by him. I believe this as well, that, and we explain it from a procurement perspective really quickly. When there's allocation of Blackwell and Hopper or H100, H2 or B200s that are occurring from NVIDIA, this very public thing happening in the tech industry. Yes, Elon has two different companies, Tesla and XAI, but the allocation's going to him. And then he's telling NVIDIA where to ship them ultimately, and there is a financial transaction, and there is, there's a paper trail. It's totally legit. That's fine. But I do believe that between the two companies, and they'll be able to do this up and up, and they will be able to share capacity, I believe, as needed. Because what you're trying to do at these data centers is drive really super high utilization. So if you're an auto industry, now, why did I bring that up? If you're an auto industry exec, who are you? You're competing with Elon Musk, who's already procured this for Tesla, and he also has a similar and even greater size of this training capacity for XAI. And he has the ability, and I believe that, and he'll be able to do this very transparently, to be able to share that capacity eventually at some point is needed, but it's not even needed. But the point is it's becoming so cost prohibitive from a CapEx perspective for them to compete. They're going to have to capitulate at some point between the performance we're seeing in the drives and the battle that's happening in the data center and the investment that's happening in the data center. They're getting beat literally in every single game right now. And at some point, you have to stop the burn you're doing, and then you have to jump on and say, I want to be part of this. By the way, they could license FSD from Tesla and then they could sell it to their consumers once they have it integrated up and running and have a great revenue source, a great gross margin source for their company, and not have burned all this R&D over the last several years.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it's hard for many of us to understand at all why some still doubt that the lead is massive, that you need all this data. You're seeing it, unfold in front of our eyes. Overnight, we just had many institutional investors massively raising price targets for Tesla. The most interesting is Craig Irwin of Roth Capital. We're going to watch his video because he's a longtime bear and now he's become a bull, primarily because of FSD. So this is Craig Irwin of Roth Capital, longtime bear, raised it from $85. He kept saying that the company's only worth $85. Now he says, yep, it's $380. Let's listen to his interview.
I don't know what we're going to do anymore when we look for a Tesla bear and we can't go to you. It was tough to begin with. Why this move, and what do you say to those who will just cynically point to you and say, he's been wrong for so long, he just finally had to throw in the towel?
So what I'm looking at is this quarter is probably the last quarter of relative weakness. Right. My view is battery prices gave them the margin upside this last quarter, the prior quarter, and the CFO was very clear about the margin outlook for the fourth quarter. And the stock is responding to the Trump bump. Musk was one of the most passionate and authentic supporters of President Trump, and obviously a very close ally of his. Moving forward, the DOGE, the Government Efficiency Initiative, and all sorts of other things position him to play an interesting role in the Trump administration, right? So the last quarter relative weakness, I think now he's got a new pool of buyers, conservatives that might not have looked at EVs quite as closely in the past, that allow an acceleration of demand in the core US market, right? So that means we're looking at positive estimate revisions. And I'm asking myself, where are the catalysts? I don't see very many negative catalysts if estimates are going to positive revisions. And they're abundant positive catalysts. Things are going to look a lot like they did 11, 12, 13 years ago, where they can literally invent their own milestones and knock them down. Optimus, Grok, the AI initiative, the visibility around EV share gains, all of these, I think, will play to the positive for Tesla. And I think this is something that can be sustained for a couple of years. It's not like it's going to happen over a quarter or two. Bias is down to the upside, not the downside. And market cap may be huge, right? 1.1, 1.2 trillion is a big company, but they're doing big things.
It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. He never really had any logic in the first place. Now it's just, the prices are up, so I better go on. The price is going to keep going up. All right.
Yeah, the information hasn't, you're right. The information hasn't changed, but the price target's changed. And that should be a red flag or a siren when you see this happening on the street, because we've been analyzing this company. Several others have been analyzing this company, and these facts have been out there. Now, the probability of success, we're starting to see more and more. We're seeing new information that these probabilities are improving of things being successful, but these items have all been here the whole time. So I find it interesting that the bear, you're starting to see now, call them these double-digit bears, these bears that had literally a price target below $100 on the company. And now the bears are at 380. So what does that tell you in terms of this window and how it's shifting and where it's going? I think you should, as people that are interested in the company or investors, stay focused on your milestones, your time horizons, and just the proper analysis of the company. You're going to hear a lot of noise. The stock prices run up, and you're going to hear a lot of noise. But again, I go back to, there's a reason for this run up. Fundamentally, in Q3, they put a floor under they beat on gross margins. They beat on earnings per share. I have to keep, stressing this point. The things that Wall Street really cares about in these short 90-day windows, Tesla did very well. And there was a surprise on Wall Street. This isn't just Elon, his proximity to the White House. I mean, certainly now you've got the lawfare overhead removed, and now you've got this accelerant in terms of, potentially on the regulatory side, and just his access to getting decisions made in Washington and across the country. He's got tremendous leverage now. So certainly that is a factor, but Tesla did the work. Tesla had the quarter in Q3, and they're putting together a quarter now in Q4. And yes, there are some more incentives, but they're growing volumes fairly significantly in Q4. So I think Craig is right in terms of, this period of time kind of being, it in terms of like getting any of this, bad news out, and it's upward from here. But all these other milestones around, whether it's, Optimus, whether it's autonomy, these things have been out there the whole time.
Yeah, so we've got the street turning. Dan Ives says that more on the street are starting to listen to the autonomous paradigm changer for Tesla under a Trump White House. I guess he's the autonomous paradigm, but also the Trump White House into 2025. Good news along with V13 now here. You got Stifel analyst Stephen Gengaro. He raised his stock price target to $411 from $287. He is the highest Wall Street analyst. We believe buying Tesla shares requires vision and patience and the willingness to accept volatility. He isn't wrong. Tesla stock is notoriously volatile. Coming into Monday trading, shares were up 37% since November 5th, accounting for almost all of the year-to-date gains. The move is despite no change in 2025 earnings estimates. Investors are banking on, Elon's closeness to Donald Trump. And while we have confidence in Tesla's auto business, a significant value creation potential from its AI-based FSD capabilities and cybercap underpin our positive outlook. Finally hearing institutional analysts saying robotaxis here. It's the highest on Wall Street at this point. And you can see here, there's a new Wall Street high price target for Tesla. This is Stifel. It's at $411. It used to be $400. This was before $400. Now it's $411. What do you think about that?
I mean, I looked at this. It looks like he's splitting the businesses out almost as kind of like a sum of parts thing. He's got the auto business, I think, at over 20 times EBITDA. It's interesting how all these analysts are kind of, flipping as the window on the stock price moves up. But I just go back to the bears are now starting to put a floor in the upper 300s. Yeah. And to me, that's the big takeaway. And this information's been out there really the whole time. And anyway, just stick with the facts, stick with the catalyst of the company. There's a lot of things that could happen, both good and not so good, but just, kind of just stick with the facts and see where things are going. But you can see what Tesla's building. You can see you get more regular updates than the 90-day window. That's what's great about Tesla. There's all this information about vehicle shipments, and that's fine. There's information that's out there, but the real future of the company is autonomy and robotics. And Tesla dropped in the last week 2 of the biggest updates on Optimus and, with it, catching a ball in midair and with obviously with V13 in the car, and that's the future of the company.
Okay, big milestone happened just this weekend. We got the drop of FSD. You got these institutional analysts, the bears flipping, and we didn't even talk about the bot. Optimus, they did a demo of it, basically catching a ball. All of this is happening. And as you had said in the show, it really is boiling down to machine learning, AI, all that compute. It's finally showing that this is real world products.
And supply chain. There's no supply chain that could catch that ball. There's one company that's going to be able to build a supply chain to be able to catch that ball. That's Tesla.
Love it. I love it. That's a great quote. Thank you, Jeff. Follow him on his X account at the Jeff Lutz. And if you are buying a Tesla, go to his referral link. I'll put it in my description here. You got to choose Jeff as your referral. You get $2,000 off if you decide to buy a Tesla at this point. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.